The hosts and guests on Everything's Messy podcast are not licensed healthcare professionals. The discussions in our episodes are not personalized medical advice. Hey, welcome to Everything's Messy podcast, where we celebrate the beautiful but messy life experiences that most, if not all, people go through. Get ready to embark on an exciting journey through the raw and unfiltered stories of everyday people. Here, we dive into messy realities of life, from making messy mistakes to triumphs and everything in between. Are you sensing a theme? That's right, it's messy. But this just isn't about the mess. It's about finding strength and resilience in the midst of it all. We'll explore how health, fitness, and wellness play a crucial role in navigating life's twists and very messy turns. And we'll challenge conventional systems, because sometimes the most unconventional paths lead to the greatest discoveries. Join us as we embrace the messy, beautiful, and endlessly fascinating stories. Each episode is a testament to the power of our messy journeys and the beauty that emerges from the mess. So grab your favorite beverage, coffee, sparkling water, whatever it may be, and prepare to be inspired. Are you ready? Let's get messy. Hey, what is happening, my messy warriors? I hope we are having a great January. I know I am. I've got a lot of fresh starts going on. And a lot of times I dread this time of year, but I have to say, for me, this January has been pretty successful and, motivating and inspiring. So I hope it is for you too. If it's not, remember we can always shift and go a different direction. We can, find a different ebb and flow for what you're looking for. So just remember, don't be stuck. Don't stay stuck. If you need to shift. So, okay. If you are loving Everything's Messy podcast, I would appreciate so much, so greatly that in 2026, I get some more reviews on Spotify and or Apple. Certainly helps me grow, and I am looking for growth this year. Come on. Yes. Okay. I'm going to dive in a little bit. We're always talking about autoimmune diseases or chronic conditions. And today I'm going to do a little more of a deep dive on Hashimoto's. I know we've talked about it before, but I'm specifically going to be talking about Hashimoto's and taking black seed oil. There's some promising things out there with it. Remember, always consult with your doctor. I am not a doctor. I am just telling you what works for me. And I love to be the guinea pig, and I have started this new regimen, and I've done a ton of research on it. So we're going to get into it today on black seed oil. So first, for those of you that may not know or maybe haven't listened, this is your first episode. I'm just going to do a quick, brief synopsis on Hashimoto's. It is basically a worse version of hypothyroidism. Our body basically attacks itself, and it's hard to have it go in remission. It does have flare-ups depending on your stress level, and it's things that we do have to watch. If you are new to Hashimoto's or low thyroid, even hyperthyroid, which can be Graves' disease and stuff like that, make sure you're paying attention to your diet. So, for example, most people with hypothyroid and or Hashimoto's, we are avoiding gluten. Even if you don't have celiac disease, gluten really, really becomes a inflammatory thing in our body, and we want to make sure we have the less inflammation in our body as we can. So removing that gluten, I have had, some okay, my body adjusted okay with like homemade sourdough, where I can monitor what kind of flour I'm using and things like that. But anything in a wheat product, at least in this country, is going to contain gluten, and it just gives us so much inflammation. It's not even funny. So there's something that you can do with that. Also, a lot of times, dairy, specifically eggs. Now, eggs, absolutely believe it's a superfood. But here's something really quick on eggs. Unless you are getting your eggs from a farmer's market and you know what they're feeding your chicken, most likely your eggs are full of soy, corn, and flaxseed. We've talked about on this podcast before that a quarter cup of flaxseed equals 20 birth controls of estrogen. So specifically speaking to those who might be estrogen dominant or have imbalanced hormones, we think, whatever that chicken is eating and out comes the egg, it is a product of what the chicken has eaten. So we are going to eat that corn, soy, and flax. We need to, if you can, make sure you are getting your eggs from a farmer that you trust that is not feeding corn, soy, and flax. Just terrible. So that's hard to find. So sometimes doing an elimination of no eggs at all, you actually might see some benefit in that because you're also not ingesting those extra phytoestrogens. So there's that. And then we're talking about, other dairy, milk, cheese. Now, I have had success with goat milk and also raw
Okay,
milk.
so
I know that
it
it's not
is
available everywhere, but I don't have the sensitivities
sativa.
to both goat
Nigella
and
sativa.
raw that I did
So
with
that
regular
is, and it is
homogenized
labeled
milk.
on
So
most legitimate black
those
seed
are other
oil
things that you
bottles.
can think
That
about.
is
I
what you are
know
specifically looking
if you
for.
are
If it
new, or even if
says
you're looking for
cumin or
answers,
cumin,
I
however you
really
say it,
recommend
then that's probably not what you're
following and
looking for
listening
unless it
to
does
Isabella
specifically say that
Wentz.
it is the
She wrote a
Nigella
book called The Root
sativa. So
Cause. She
I'm sure I
herself
botched
suffers
that.
from Hashimoto's.
Fact check me if you
She is
want,
a
but
pharmacist
that's
and
at
she
least
has
what I think it
tons of
sounds like.
information out there,
So anyway,
protocols, diet
so you want to be careful
eliminations,
of the
how
two
to,
distinctions
add
there.
back the foods,
And
different
it is
supplements. She
becoming
is
such a
very
popular thing. I'm sure you've seen it on
good on
Instagram
the
or any sort of
research.
social media.
And
again,
like I
we
said,
need
if
to
you're
be
new or
careful
you're
of
not new
hype,
and you're just looking for more
and
answers, I
people
would
are just
definitely
trying to
start
make
with
money
her.
with supplements and things
So
like that.
she
But
is
I
the
did go
one
through
who I
her.
did some research with on this.
It's called Root
black seed
Ecology.
oil.
This is her platform
So
where she
really
sells
quick couple of
her
things. There is black seed oil,
supplements,
and then
and
sometimes it gets
they're third-party
confused with
checked.
black
There's no
seed,
soy.
confused with
There's like
black seed
it's all clean
cumin.
ingredients. So
And
I
the
have
difference
purchased it,
being
and
that
I've
they
been
both can
taking it for
have
a
good
couple of days.
properties,
Now,
but you
here
need to
is
be
some of
careful and make sure
the
that
things
you're
that it
looking
claims it
at
can help with.
the
Right? We've
Latin
got
word for it.
well, first
and I'm going
it's an
to mess it up,
antioxidant,
but
so
I'm
let's
going
start
to
there.
try to say it.
And it says
One of
and
the biggest
it
things it can
is
do is help with
pronounced
anti-inflammatory. So as people with hypothyroid and or Hashimoto's, inflammation is a big deal for us. The high stress that we might have turns into the bad oxidative stress. Our bodies get inflamed for long periods of time, and then our thyroid inevitably attacks itself. And you may notice, maybe you didn't know exactly what it was, but you may notice that sometimes symptoms are stronger than other times. That means that it maybe went into remission and now you're having a flare up, and those are the most uncomfortable things that you can experience. I've had some really, really tough flare ups. My joints hurt, my trigger finger, carpal tunnel, and I don't have a record of necessarily injuries that would cause those things. It just all comes from the inflammation with Hashimoto's. So I'm willing to try anything really, with promise, that would help with the inflammation. The other things that it claims that it can do, which I think is really important that we also talk about, is support immunity, it supports skin, hair, digestion, and again, the joint health, probably because, again, it is anti-inflammatory. And I just think, a lot of things claim to be anti-inflammatory. I mean, heck, taking Advil or Tylenol, any ibuprofen over-the-counter medicine will help with anti-inflammation. But the problem is you can't take it long term, nor should you want to. We're looking to heal our bodies with the food that we're eating and maybe with the help of some supplements to get us over that starter fix. Now, a word of caution, black seed oil is not meant to take for a lifetime or a long time. They usually recommend that you start at 3 months. I'm sorry, 8 weeks to 3 months. Okay. If you need it longer, there are some things that you need to get tested, like your hormones and other things, because it can have effect on that. Now, to me, at this moment, I feel like the benefits will outweigh the risk. I am only going to start an 8-week protocol, and I'm hoping to see some results and report back to you. It's important that we have, you know, we have some research that you've done on your own. Again, I'm happy to be the guinea pig and explain all of it to you, but you really need to take the ownership of what you're wanting to put in your body and what's it going to do. You know your body better than I do. You know your body better than your doctor. So make sure if you go to talk with your doctor, you have your list of concerns, why it might be beneficial, and that you've done your research on which product you want to use. Again, I'm using the Rootcology from the pharmacist Isabella Wentz and from her book, The Root Cause. And she's also written more books on that as well, but that's her main one is The Root Cause. Again, I'm not getting any kickback from her. I have not had the pleasure yet of having her on the podcast. I am working on that. So let's try and put that out into the universe that we want her on this podcast. But in the meantime, I'm reading all her papers and all the research that she's done, and it's incredibly important. So back to some of the things that it claims. So in hypothyroid and or Hashimoto's, our antibodies go crazy, right? That's what we're fighting. That's why we have to take the medicine to either suppress it or to stir it up to make more, right? Hypo. The problem is it's really hard to reduce the Hashimoto's antibodies. And we want it to get in remission. I don't know that we'll ever cure it, but we want to get it into a deep remission and make it stay there. And again, that goes back to the foods you're eating. That goes back to your movement, what you're doing for your exercise. And really, a lot of it has to do with your stress. And you would think our thyroid would be able to handle more stress than it can, but it just doesn't, especially if you have been predisposed to autoimmune or chronic conditions. It seems to be the first place everything starts. Well, I take that back. The gut is where everything starts. We definitely need gut health when we're at any point, we need gut health, but especially if you're dealing with hypothyroid or Hashimoto. Attention to what I did. And then I've had some terrible, terrible years, most recently with all of my issues of the flare up just doesn't seem to go away. And you can notice it in your skin. I'm starting to notice it in my skin. And like I said, my hair, it's, also kind of intertwined with high cortisol levels. And, we talk about high cortisol also can make your hair fall out, which also comes from thyroid and Hashimoto's. We have these overlapping symptoms. What do we do? How do we treat it? Everybody says, well, if you can get your cortisol under control, everything else will fall into place. And I actually have the opposite of that. I feel like if we can get our gut under control, then we can get our Hashimoto's to go dormant. Then we can attack the cortisol because I feel pretty strongly it's some sort of domino effect. Now, I may not know the exact map out trail of which way it's going to make it so, but I do feel that they all go hand in hand. And that is the order that I would go. Gut, um, Hashimoto's going dormant, and then trying to fix our cortisol. It becomes frustrating. Trust me, I know. I wake up every day putting my best foot forward, trying to do the things that I can control right in front of me. What does that look like? How am I serving my body? But it does get frustrating when you're really up against an invisible but very visible condition that you're trying to tell your body, "Stop attacking me, let me help you." And there is just fighting and fighting and fighting inside you. And I get it. There's real, true burnout of not only to my T1D besties, but to Hashimoto's, to any chronic condition, any autoimmune condition. It is a fight because your body has betrayed you. Your body is working against you. We need to let it know that we are here to help it in the best way that we can. And, in my case, I didn't always treat it the best way, but I'm trying to now. So it's important that, these new things that come out. And again, I don't think black seed oil is new. I think it's been around for thousands of years. If you're working with a Chinese herbalist, I'm sure they're putting you on those regimes. I would be very concerned if there wasn't an end date. Again, 8 weeks to 3 months is the start for the protocol, and then you come off of it. And that doesn't mean that you won't come back on it, but you don't want to do this for a lifetime and or a long time. And I think that should be true for a lot of supplements that promise all these things. First of all, let's make sure they work. Are they having any impact or effect on you? Because everybody's different. Maybe they won't. So you don't want to keep taking it just for, giggles. And then the other part is we need to work and make it work synergistically within our body and the food we're eating and the movement we're doing and the stress relievers that we're doing in place. We need to make sure that all of it is working for our body, not against it. And I'm sure you're like me, that you have had a regimen or a routine for many years, many months, even many days, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work anymore. I have experienced that as well. So again, I will be trying this black seed oil. I do hope it is. I am hoping for a significant decrease in symptoms. I really like it to take a lot of inflammation out of my joints. I would really like it to take, the puffiness out of my face. All of these things where it's like I'm trying to release the, water and all of the things that my body's just hanging on to, and it needs a little nudge. So I'm going to nudge it a little bit with the black seed oil. I hope that it will work. Going back to black seed. Okay. So, it's an amino acid and it is native. This is important to Southern Europe, North Africa, Southwest Asia, and over time, it has appeared further throughout the Middle East. So that's interesting. And so that goes back to people that are working with functional medicine doctors or traditional Chinese medicine doctors. That is probably where that's coming from. Um, let's see. So let's get into more uses. All right. So it shows promise for positively influencing thyroid health and lowering thyroid stimulating hormone, also known as TSH. We all know that, as we all have to get our T3, T4, reverse T3, and TSH tested all the time. At least I do. And will also address some root causes. Remember, we're all about the root cause, including gut health, blood sugar, metabolic health. And, let's talk specifically about the thyroid. So again, there's a lot of studies out there. I encourage you to do your own on the studies. It's claiming that the TSH levels were reduced from an average of 6.42 to 4.13. That's a pretty good reduction. So that's another reason why you probably shouldn't be taking it long term and be getting your thyroid levels checked, because you don't want to be taking whatever thyroid medicine you might be on and still hurting as your body's trying to tame whatever's going on with the black seed oil. So it's really important that you hang on to that. Um, it also had a meaningful impact on vascular growth factor. It's a protein that stimulates the formation of blood vessel and plays a specific role in the normal function and development of thyroid cells. Well, wow, that's a mouthful, but if we break it down, it's talking about helping your vascular health and as it shifts and pushes more to the thyroid health. That's big. So now it's also claiming that black seed oil may also be protective for the liver and kidneys in Hashimoto's. Impaired detoxification, a common issue. So this is another way in which we can support our system. So if you're having problems with kidney health or liver health, again, I always put the caveat on liver health. We cannot detox the liver. Go back and listen to other episodes where I've spoken on that, but it still does. The liver is still what we call a cleanup crew. It is cleaning everything in our body, which is why we need that glutathione. So again, go back, listen to those other episodes. I've explained why I say the liver does not detox, and it's a good reason to just go. So at any rate, I've dropped the bomb. Everybody go look at what black seed oil might be able to do for you. Again, do your research, check it out, talk to your doctor. Definitely understand what it can do for you, what the pros and cons are. Again, not lifetime, not long time. And let me know. I'd love to know if you're already taking it, if you're already on it, if you're having just the best reaction to it, let me know. I would love to know. I will be reporting back with my findings on taking it. Again, you know me, I don't put my name on anything that comes my way. So I'm very anxious to see what results I will have with this. And yeah, so that's it for this week. A quick little new supplement to me, new to me, not new to the world. I read it's been around for like 3,000 years. So it's definitely not new, just new to me. I'm hoping that it's promising. I'm hoping that her formula is clean and it's not going to have all these fillers and I'm not going to have a reaction to those fillers. Side note, by the way, if I haven't said this before, many, 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 many years ago when they started me on Synthroid, it triggered severe migraines, very, very bad migraines. Then they switched me to levothyroxine, also triggered very bad migraines. Come to find out that I don't know that it was a full-blown reaction, but I was very sensitive to the fillers that they were using in Synthroid and levothyroxine, even the generic version. It wasn't until, and I had to fight tooth and nail for it, but it wasn't until I was put on Armor where I was having some relief with migraines. And I still suffer from them occasionally, but not near as much as I was. And I do think that if you are seeing sensitivities to a synthetic thyroid medicine, you might try to ask for the natural Armor thyroid, which is made from pig, which is the closest to our system that you can get. That's why I also have to request insulin that is non-synthetic. It comes from the pig. So just be very mindful of these little things that you see. It might not be, one cause. It might be the actual medicine that you're taking. So just another thing to add to your mission. And I hope that you will continue on your wellness journey as we try these things. And again, the ideal part would be not supplements, but just treating ourselves with healthy food on our own and not having to be on supplements. But sometimes we do need a little help. So again, let me know your thoughts. If you can, I would most appreciate a review. And make sure you're following me on Instagram and YouTube. I'm also on TikTok. And yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll check you later.
Thanks for listening to Everything's Messy podcast. Whew, if you made it this far, give yourself a gold star or at least a nap. Honestly, if you showed up today and you were listening, you've already crushed it. I'm so grateful for you listening. If anything hit home, share it, tag me, write it on a sticky note. I don't care. Just don't keep all of this messy goodness to yourself. You can find me on Instagram at Everything's Messy Wellness or over at my website, everythingsmessywellness.com, where I've got resources, coaching, and probably a new rant about blood sugar or something that's just nonsense. It's all waiting for you. Check out my YouTube channel. I've got all of my podcast episodes up there. And I'm on X at Everything's Mess. Or if you just want to send me an email, Sarah at everythingsmessywellness.com. Look, until next time, hydrate, take no crap, and as always, keep it messy.